¿Qué pasó, pinche perro? It's your homeboy Quetzalcoatl. Welcome back to the Fuck Your Life Boxing Show. Today's episode, we're going to talk about what happened Saturday night between Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. and Brian Vera. This was an interesting fight, an exciting fight to watch, but with a disappointing result. Right off the bat, first thing you noticed in this fight was Chavez Jr. looked big as hell. He was huge. Now, this fight was fought at 173 pounds. As you know, Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., his last fight was at middleweight at 160, where he lost to Sergio Martinez. He was pretty much shut out. He had that one good round in the 12th, but other than that, it was a virtual shutout. So this was his comeback fight. He needed to look good. Some of the things that he did while he wasn't fighting, I don't know what the fuck he was doing, but he ballooned up big as a motherfucker. So they tried to make the fight at 168. A couple of weeks ago, he got injured, supposedly. You know, that was a suspect-ass injury if you've seen the pictures. The fight was postponed because of that cut. The fight was rescheduled to this past Saturday, and even then, Chavez Jr. pretty much let them know he wasn't going to be able to make 168, so they renegotiated after that and had the fight at 173. And while his arms had a bit of definition for the most part compared to the 160-pound fighter, he looked fat. Chavez looked sluggish in the fight, and he was significantly slower at this weight than he was at 160. I mean, don't get me wrong, he still had the power, though, because he was able to hurt Vera on different occasions throughout this fight. This was a 10-round fight as well. Something that surprised me about Chavez Jr. was he tried to outbox Vera from the beginning of the fight. He looked good while his head movement looked good. His foot movement looked good. He had some good timing, especially because of how slow he was looking. But once he started getting tired, he started going downhill. I mean, he really started to slow down. Chavez Jr. hurt Vera a couple of times, as I said, throughout this fight, but he never really capitalized on it. After watching the whole fight, I've watched this fight about 2-3 times. It was probably because he didn't have the stamina to capitalize on it. He was pretty much banking on knocking Vera out with one big shot. And then if he has to, maybe land like one or two more to drop him. But, I mean, once he would hurt him, he would pretty much see if he could land another one. After that, he'd pretty much just reset. I think that he knew he didn't have the stamina to keep going at that pace. When Chavez Jr. started slowing down, you saw that Brian Vera started getting confident, and he started upping his activity level. And he started landing in combinations. You saw Chavez movement, that head movement and that foot movement that he had where he was trying to outbox. It was no longer as effective as it was before. So, naturally Vera started landing a lot more. By round 6, you saw that Chavez Jr. was pretty much just looking for one big shot, and that was it. He was looking for that shot to land well. And at certain times in the fight, he did. He landed some big shots, but, not enough to overshadow the work rate that Brian Vera had put on. The judges, at the end of this fight, you saw the judges' scorecards. One of them had Chavez Jr. winning 8 rounds to 2, which was horrible. This was a unanimous decision for Chavez Jr. I think this was a slap in the face to Brian Vera. And, a slap in the face to boxing fans who like to see real and fair fights. Another thing, Chavez Jr. was trying to buy himself some time throughout this fight as he was complaining a lot about headbutts and low blows. Granted, some of those shots were low blows, but for the most part, to me, I think he was complaining out in the open to see if he can try to catch a break, to see if he can catch his breath. Or maybe he was trying to see if they can penalize Vera a point, because I'm pretty sure that Chavez Jr. realized that the fight was getting very close at that point because he was tired. So he was trying to find any kind of way to get an advantage in the fight. And if you've seen any of my previous videos, you've seen that I gave Chavez Jr. respect in my first video that I did in Spanish, que es el futuro de Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. Prior to that, I had gave Chavez Jr. his funeral after he got his ass whooped by Sergio Martinez. So, you know, I just gave Chavez Jr. his respect. I told him, you know, go peep that out. I was like, you know, Chavez Jr. has a hell of a chin because Sergio Martinez was landing some big shots. Chavez Jr. just kept on coming forward. Showed a lot of heart in that fight. If he could actually sit down and train seriously, he could be a, you know, he could be a contender. Unfortunately, this is the kind of effort that he put up. This shit is horrible. Of course, there's no Freddie Roach. He had a new trainer in his corner, guy that he's been working with for 9 years, as well as his dad in his corner. This was straight up a political decision. You know, this was HBO, Top Rank, and all the people that Chavez Jr. has in his corner. This was their doing, and it's just sad to see shit like that. You know, boxing is one of the sports where it's not about what you know. It's not about how good you are. It's about who you know. That's basically what it comes down to, and that's what happened here in this fight. With the who you know for Chavez Jr. is the fact that he is Julio Cesar Chavez's son. He's the son of a legendary fighter, so who he knows is those connections in boxing. All the people that pull the strings behind the scenes in boxing. Boxing is one of the only sports where somebody like that can come up. Where if you got Top Rank in your corner, you got Bob Arum in your corner, you got Oscar de la Hoya, or you bent over and you took it in the booty by Al Heyman, you can become a fucking sensation overnight. These motherfuckers will hype you up and put you on a fucking pedestal that you don't deserve. That's why you got motherfuckers right now that are 3 division champions and ain't fucking fought nobody. That's a slap in the face to all the fucking old school boxers that had to do this shit legitimately. Fighting real champions to get to that. And now you got Chavez Jr. out here doing the shit he doing. It's just bullshit, man. I was really excited to watch Chavez Jr.'s next couple of fights. Right now, it's like, ah, man. I don't even know. I mean, the fights are there for him to prove himself. If somehow, miraculously, he can make 160 again, as I mentioned before, him and Triple G would be a good fight. Him and Andre Ward, Peter Quillin. You know, like, if you go to 168, there's Butte, there's Froch. There's a whole lot of names. But now it just comes down to whether this dude is going to train seriously or not. And I don't know, man. Let me know what you thought of the fight. How did you score this fight? Granted, I thought this was a close fight, but it was still a robbery because Brian Vera deserved this victory. And you saw how the judges scored this shit. It was just bullshit. You let me know your opinion. And as always, if you like this shit, hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button. This is your homeboy, Quetzalcoatl. Signing the fuck on now.